watching IGN's coverage of Comic-Con 2024. There's been a ton of awesome reveals, announcements, and surprises here at the show so far. So to help break down some of the best we've seen, please welcome my IGN co-hosts Kat Bailey and Bob Marshall. Happy Comic-Con, friends.
Happy Comic-Con.
Happy Comic-Con.
We've been having a good one. First off, we have to talk about Marvel's big Thursday night panel. They screened Deadpool and Wolverine for the fans and had quite the drone show, which teased some big Fantastic Four news to come on Saturday night, question mark?
Yeah, I think that we can probably expect at least a first reveal. I mean, just earlier this week, we saw Pedro Pascal saying, the gang's all here, posting a picture of everybody, so they're clearly laying the groundwork. There's Fantastic Four stuff everywhere around Comic-Con, so I think that this is it. We're gonna see, at a minimum, probably at least a teaser.
So were you both present for that? Did you watch the movie?
We did watch the movie, yes. You watched it a second time?
I watched it, okay, I'd already seen the movie at the New York premiere, so I watched it, the first half of it. Mm-hmm. I watched one very specific cameo that I wanted to see again, and then I left. But I know Kat stayed to the end, and then there was a big, what was your first time seeing it? And then there was the big reveal at the very end of the panel, which was a parade of cameos in the movie, which I don't know if we can necessarily say.
No, I think that the fans would find us and so we just probably shouldn't be doing that, but it was really heartwarming, and I think that Deadpool and Wolverine is just such a really nice tribute to the 20th Century Fox movies from
just
days gone by. So I think that a lot of fans will be really happy with it.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm trusting you on this one. I'm with a lot of the people watching this right now, which is...
Well, even though the people watching this right now are on the internet, maybe stay off the internet because...
Exactly. It's everywhere now.
It's everywhere now, and I think since the Marvel panel, a lot of people have been like, hey, Marvel, why did you spoil your own movie on the night that it came out, on the very first release night? But, you know, that's just the way things go at Comic-Con sometimes.
Sometimes you get a nice little surprise, but we also got some updates about The Boys as well. There will be a prequel series called Vought Rising set in the 50s, which I'm excited about. This is one of my favorite shows, and I know the original part is ending, but we also found out that Hamish Linklater, who will be voicing Batman in the animated Caped Crusader very soon, will be joining Gen V in season 2. I'm hearing as the new Dean, replacing Dean Shetty, who perished under mysterious circumstances.
There was a huge applause in the room when that reveal happened. Everybody, it was a shock. There was a lot of shocking things about the Boys panel, and that was one of the bigger ones.
All right. I mean, I'm really excited to see more of Soldier Boy and what was her name before? Liberty?
Yeah, well, Stormfront, who Aya Cash, I believe her name is, she's coming back as her original hero. New York, 1950s, just as Vought is coming up. And I think the really cool thing about all this is she teased in her segment for Comic-Con that the show will have everything from Judy Garland to Joe McCarthy, which knowing The Boys means everything is on the table, which is really exciting.
That's very The Boys. Yeah, you don't often see the amount of grotesque violence and explicit images in that time period, but maybe this is something new for us now. Yeah. I mean, I was wondering what they would do with The Boys announcing that they're going to end, and you know, Gen V is going their own way, which I'm glad about.
Well, it's interesting too because they also announced that Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy will 100% be an official regular cast member in season 5. We knew from this end of the season 4 tease that he was coming back in some way, but Eric Kripke said yes, season 5 he will be a regular cast member. So I'm interested to see, and knowing how well The Boys and Gen V have connected, I think that this will kind of flow seamlessly between the two, right? Between Soldier Boy coming back as a main character and then taking it back to the 50s with Vought Rising.
I would like to learn more about what went on back then. It's going to disturb me, but I'm ready for it, as always with The Boys. And Kat, you saw something pretty interesting at the Jim Lee panel about an upcoming DCU project. Can you tell us more?
It was Creature Commandos, which is one of the lesser-known James Gunn DCU projects, and we got to see the first official teaser for it. And I have to say that it was a very nice kind of Americanized anime animated series. So it's sort of a soft launch for the DCU. We all know that Superman is going to be the big one when it comes out in 2025. This one's coming out in December, but it should kind of give you a kind of a feel for the flavor that James Gunn is going for with this one. He wrote all 7 episodes of Creature Commandos, and you know, it has a lot of fun characters like Bride of Frankenstein and Dr. Phosphorus, and they're fighting Nazis like
Great,
they
love
do.
it.
Yeah, it's based on a comic series from the 1980s, so lots of kind of universal monsters coming out and fighting the bad guys and everything. And it's a weird choice, but it's a very James Gunn choice for the DCU. And I think it really kind of speaks to where they want to take this. And I like that they're not being as obvious as you would have kind of expected with it.
Yeah, I mean, you were mentioning before, this is reminiscent of how the Guardians of the Galaxy became household names almost at this point, before being, you know, characters no one really thought of or knew about. So is this going along those lines?
Yeah, Jim Lee specifically shouted out that as sort of James Gunn's superpower, because as somebody who has a real genuine appreciation for comics history and comic books as an art form, he really wants to go out to these characters that are maybe lesser known and not as, you know, commercial, and bring out what, you know, really spoke to him as a fan back in the day. And that direct connection between James Gunn and the fans is maybe really speaks to his success over the years. So, I mean, Creature Commandos might not be as big as Superman or Batman. They might not become household names like the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think it makes me optimistic for the direction that the DCU is going starting next year.
It sounds like a really smart move the way you're putting it out here right now. I'm very excited about it. But we have one more thing we got to talk about, and that is Mortal Kombat 1. We got to look at the new DLC characters as well as a sneak peek at the return of Animalities. Bob, tell us about this.
Oh, the room shook when suddenly we're seeing Animalities again. Like Animalities, Mortal Kombat 3, 1995. They're back and they're crazier and grosser than ever, which is exactly what the fans want. So we saw a big montage of them. We saw hyenas ripping people up. We saw a T-Rex eating somebody. I think it was Melina morphs into like a praying mantis and eats somebody's head off. The really cool thing that they're able to show during this too, which I really loved, was they talked to one of the main producers about how does an animality get made and where the idea comes. And so they talked specifically about the character Rain has an animality where he turns him into a pufferfish and then jumps into the opponent's mouth and then explodes out. Oh yes, it's awesome. It's great. It's so cool and so bloody and gory, but you see it, you know, kind of first, you know, early elements of just like, here's the idea, and then you see it again with, you know, new lighting, you know, actually new graphics. Then you see it again once they add like the horrible agonizing scream and just the tons and tons of blood. And I think it's funny too, because I think there was a younger generation of Mortal Kombat players who were like, yeah, this game is silly, but it never really has gotten that silly since Animalities first happened. And when you know, when I was live tweeting out like, oh my gosh, Animalities are back, people were like, what is this? Like, what is this crap? Like, what could this be? And it's like, oh, you guys, come on. Like, the funnest thing is when Mortal Kombat embraces how totally stupid it is. It is like a game where everybody looks so deadly serious, and then the dumbest thing in the world happens, and the goriest thing in the world happens, and I just can't wait. Like, I'm so excited. When Mortal Kombat 1 came and I first started playing it last year, I was like, man, it would be really crazy if they brought back Animalities. So this was like high on my wish list, and I'm sure high on a lot of other people's wish lists too.
Oh, this has been great. Thank you both. You know how I feel about that? Friendship. All right, those are just a few of our favorite things at Comic-Con so far. If you missed any trailers, news, collectibles, and more, head on over to IGN.com, IGN's YouTube channel, and all of your social media feeds so you can catch up on the action. We've got tons more Comic-Con ahead here at IGN, so don't go anywhere.